Senate President, we're in the thick of it right now in post-pandemic fallout.
Sure.
Obviously, we've come down a bit on the testing and the testing positivity, but still pretty high unemployment considering where we were pre-pandemic. The Senate, I don't believe, has taken up anything specifically to help workers or people who are unemployed, taken up any bills like that yet, and yet has taken action to remove some power from the health director. There's a bill going through in that regard. There's a bill, I believe, that's going through to help employers report workers who aren't actually eligible for unemployment benefits. Is it a fair balance, do you think? Does more need to be done in the Senate to help workers through this?
Actually, we've done a substantial amount of legislation, both aimed at reopening the economy and helping people get through some of the problems that we have now, and also protecting our health and working together with the administration on a great many of those things. But today on the floor, we have House Bill 614, which will deal with unemployment compensation and help streamline that process and result in a special committee being set up to take a long, hard look at how we improve that process moving forward. We have a number of job training issues also packed into that bill, as well as about $650 million in CARES Act money that's being distributed to local governments to help alleviate some of the burden that they have. In terms of helping the economy specifically, we have two bills on the floor today that will be a big help, I believe, to the restaurant industry in particular, which has been very hard hit. About 50% of the restaurants across Ohio are concerned that they might actually encounter bankruptcy this year, and so we are expanding the places where they can serve liquor beyond the inside of their restaurants to sidewalks, to their parking lots, anything on their premises. We are codifying a rule that Governor DeWine worked on earlier this year to allow them to do more in terms of both carry out and delivery, so that they can deliver mixed drinks, for example, and some other things. So we believe that that'll be a big help to the restaurant industry. If you look today at our agenda from top to bottom, we have about 18 bills on the floor. We run the gamut on a whole host of issues, whether it's improving minority health, police reforms, actually helping first responders by enhancing the homestead exemption for the spouses of fallen officers, to improving the unemployment compensation system and expanding these things that we're doing for restaurants. So the issues on the floor today really run the gamut.
I'm sure you've heard time and time again the governor has pushed for his Strong Ohio package of legislation, and then this is in the midst of such a violent summer, especially in our most challenged communities, our poorest communities. Will the Senate act on any portion of Strong Ohio? Can anybody stand by and watch this continue?
Well, actually, the original 17 things that the governor proposed, a number of them we've been working on, and a number of them aren't necessarily related to gun control. For example, if you go back and look at his 17 points from his very first press conference, number 2 or 3 on that list overlaps with Senate Bill 58, which was designed to increase the number of beds available, improve mental health treatment, and the Senate passed that a while ago. There are a number of things the governor's proposed that overlap with some bills that we've had in recent years, increasing penalties for repeat violent offenders, making sure that people who are carrying illegally, who have a history of violence, will do some serious time in prison if they continue to do that. I spoke with the governor yesterday, and we are looking at some of those changes. But we are also very protective of people's right to self-defense and the Second Amendment. And you'll see a number of proposals over the next few months, including one that will be on the floor today, that are designed to protect that right.
Election access this time of year especially, and over the past 2 months really, has been a big issue. A bicameral control board, as you're aware,
Sure.
refused the paid postage issue for absentee ballots. The Secretary of State has petitioned the legislature for help on that, for help on drop box legislation, approving those things. Is it too late in the process now, 6 weeks out, to do anything about it?
It is too late to do things for the election this fall. But if we identify problems, we can still try to solve those for the long term. And so we have legislation pending in the Senate that had a hearing yesterday, House Bill 680, that would try to address some of those issues. The Secretary's request, frankly, was not something that should happen through controlling board. That's something that ought to be done legislatively. There is current Ohio law on the books that has for a very long time prohibited local boards from paying postage, and our belief was that if you are trying to get around that law, that should be done through the legislative process, not through an unelected board.
HB 6, two things. Does it need to go? And does the Speaker's removal help other things kind of be more lubricated, more easily move through the legislative houses?
Sure. I believe that House Bill 6 should be repealed. I believe that the Senate did very good work on that bill last year, and we were proud of the final product and what we put in. We believe that it cuts rates for ratepayers across the state, that it saved thousands of jobs, that it helped maintain a broad energy portfolio, and it did a number of other things as well, in addition to the big parts of the bill that are in the news. But I also believe that when you have a process that was as tainted as the process here allegedly was, that you need to ask yourself, well, would I have passed that bill? Would all of the different members have voted for that bill, knowing in June of 2019 what we know now? And I think the answer to that is no. We would have said, okay, that's tainted and we're not going to work on it. And so I think that what we need to do as a state is hit the reset button, go back to where we were a year and a half ago, and then use that as our starting point for determining what the best long-term energy policy should be. I've had that discussion with the governor and with the speaker, and I am hopeful that we are able to repeal that and start fresh by the end of this year, and in my opinion sooner rather than later. As far as the working relationship with the House goes, I think it's better than it's been in a long time. The Speaker and I speak regularly. The Speaker, the Governor, and I speak regularly, and that's a refreshing change of pace, I would say. And I think that that has helped with the legislative agenda even today. We have about 5 or 6 bills that will be on the floor today that we are sending over to the House that will have amendments in them, and the House will have the opportunity to concur in those. And on all of those, we work together as a team instead of maybe the House having its own thing and the Senate having its own, and butting heads the way we were more accustomed to previously.
You, through term limits, leave office at the end of this year. Is there anything left undone or any regrets for Senator Larry Outpoff?
I feel pretty good about the 10 years that I've been here, and I think that we've done a lot of good work together with multiple governors, and over the course of that span, Ohio has passed more tax cuts than just about any other state in the country. Prior to the pandemic, we were up about 560,000 net new private sector jobs from where we started. So that's a huge increase in the number of people who were able to feed their families, take care of themselves in ways that they couldn't 10 years ago. And my goal between now and December 31st is to help reverse some of the economic harm that we've seen this year. Work together with the House and with the Governor to make Ohio as strong as it can be, so that we can get back to where we were at the beginning of this year, up 500,000 jobs instead of down. And while unemployment is still substantially higher than it was at the beginning of the year, we're at 8.9% today, and we were as high as, I believe, maybe 17% back in April. So we've seen significant strides in that. We're adding tens of thousands of jobs every month, and getting back tens of thousands of jobs that people had lost every month. So we're making good progress, and I want to do everything I can, and so are the rest of my colleagues who are term limited this year, to make sure that the last 3 months count, and make sure that we leave the state better than we found it.
Senate President Larry Outpoff, thank you for your time.
Thank you.